It's exciting Adventure Day. No, we're going on an adventure. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Jam Shed. Even though you can see we're not in the shed, today is Adventure Day. And really, this is just a really unique situation where I was actually on the phone with my gear expert at Sweetwater, and he was like, hey, you know, GearFest or GuitarFest is today. Or tomorrow, you should come check that out. I'm like, you're absolutely right, I should. And I'm going to do some content on this. Why not? Why not have fun? And why not be curious? And what a better place to go than to Sweetwater and check out what's going on. There's going to be a slew of influencers there that do this very same thing that we're doing here and having these conversations with you guys. And so I thought, why not take you on a little adventure and just have some fun with it? So here's how this is going to work out. I'm going to film whatever I can. Obviously, I'm going to be respectful to those who are in attendance and the policies. And this is my first time. I've never done this. And so I'm going to be very you know what? I'm very curious. That's the word I will use. And I cannot wait to get there. But whatever I can show, I'll show. And it'll be fun. And I'll have some highlights and I'll come back and this video won't be edited similarly to others because I've never done something like this. So we'll string it together. And I look forward to showing you guys what's going on. So we'll say, stay tuned for part one. I'm going to try to do 3 or 4 parts. So part 1 will be the arrival. Part 2 will be 2, 3, and 4 will likely be something gear related. And part 5 will be the reason why I'm actually going to Sweetwater. And we'll tee that up a little bit when we get back to the shed. And that's where we'll land the plane. So I look forward to seeing you guys back in just a snap for you and maybe a couple hours for me.
All right, I'm jumping in here. I hope you are all doing well. And the reason why I'm jumping in here is because past me didn't know what future me now knows, or current me, well, whatever the timeline is, like in this moment right now, understood there was no way I was going to be able to film parts and all the rest of it. That was wishful thinking because my poor brain was on overload with the amazing event that this was. And if you've never attended this, I think you should 100%. I thought you all would be best served by just seeing a snippet, a montage of my experience today. And let's do that, and then I'll come back and I'll give you some of my final thoughts, and we'll land the plane on this episode. Take a look. All right, so I just want to say again, this event was phenomenal. I had no idea of what that experience would be like, and Sweetwater executes flawlessly. They make your experience memorable. The who's who of YouTubers were there. I mean, you had Fluff and Rob Scallion and just everybody. It's just the who's who, and that was cool to see them. I didn't get a chance to talk to them because the lines were pretty long to get to them, and it was just cool to see some of these just pivotal individuals who are doing this music game and seeing them out in the wild. It was really cool that they would take time out. In some respects, I felt a little bad for them because they're all sitting at a table and kind of on stage, so to speak. I almost feel like they might have been more comfortable just being out with the people, but maybe not. I won't speak for them, but I'm watching and looking at this huge line of all of these people just waiting to get a signature and shake their hands and have a quick conversation. And what an awesome experience, especially for those who might be like me and you're just starting out with a YouTube channel. And it was just cool to see some of these folks that you've been watching for years who've been doing it at the highest level. And not only that, but they're incredibly talented, and you know that. So it was cool to see all of that talent right there. And it's even cooler to think about, like, when these folks started out, they were just average, no different than you or I. I mean, obviously, some of us play instruments, some of us don't. Some of this isn't our true jam and what we do, but it was cool to see them and go, wow, they're human just like me. And while I was not fanboying by any stretch, it was just cool to see them and that they would give up their time to meet with those that would be so enthusiastic about getting a signature and a handshake. And maybe next time around, I'll have a little more time and I'll be able to do that and bring that back and share it with you. So let's talk just a little bit about some highlights. And I'm not going to do any detailed highlights, but more so just some high level. I think from this, I've got some content that I'm going to bring forward around some of these brands. And the first one I want to talk about is my experience with the DOD crew. Wow, they are just phenomenal. If you couldn't be excited about their work by their enthusiasm of what they're bringing to the table, then this whole thing is not for you. But it was great to meet some of their folks and have conversation and ask some questions about these vintage pedals like the Grunge here. I told them that, you know, I had an opportunity to do some filming with some of these Jason Lamb pedals, and they were super enthusiastic about it. I had an opportunity to say, well, what is it that you're most proud of, and what are products that are getting you guys excited about? Of course, they're excited about all of their products, but it's cool to hear their thinking and their thoughts, and that my thoughts are not far off of theirs. You know, we were pretty much aligned in how we were seeing this landscape of the tonal palette that is out there. And I'll say this, DOD is here for it. They're looking to explore. And then I got over to the boss table, and that was really cool to look at just their layout. And they had all the pedals that you could imagine. I mean, everything was there. You had all the Waza craft. It was just really cool to get up close and personal with some of these different vendors. And I had an opportunity to slide over to the Mesa Boogie booth, and that was really cool. And I really appreciate the time that was given and the thoughtful conversation I had there. And it centered on these guys right here and the current modern production of the dual rectifier. And it was just a really unique conversation. I'll bring more of that in another subsequent video. And then there was another company that just thoroughly impressed me. This individual took a lot of time to walk me through their passion and their newest entry to their lineup, which is like a reverb delay. And I'll leave it at that, because at some point I'd like to come back and just revisit that. I'm going to look to purchase this particular item, and I'll be able to fill you in more on that when I have it. And it's not about gear acquisition syndrome. I thought it was just a really cool experience, and in most ways I wanted to support their effort and part ways with some of my money and really have a piece of their equipment so that it's part of this memory. And while I don't recommend doing that, sometimes you are moved to do something like that, and this particular company we'll circle back to. And then lastly, I got to meet one of my amp heroes and amp builder heroes, and that's David Friedman. He's the man, and he was there, he was accessible. So thank you, David, for your time. I asked him a really cool question. It was more so kind of going, hey, I'm doing this thing here, and I love what you've done in the past with your amp builds and the tweaks and the mods, and now here you are, a true businessman, and you own an amp company, and he started out just like I did, you know, learning. And I love his content, and I look forward to it when he posts it, or as something else comes up. And it was cool to have a conversation with him, and I asked him a really cool question about a recommendation on one of his amps. And so maybe in a little while, when this channel grows a little more and it can suit the purchase of one of his amplifiers, I would love to have one here on the channel. And this is not a sponsorship ploy by any stretch. It was just awesome because I actually look up to him from the building standpoint. Like I said, I built this amplifier behind me and this one over here, and he's the man. I mean, it is hard to jump in the fray with Mesa Boogie and Orange and Fender and Marshall. Like, these are signature legacy brands, and he has cut his own path. And it was awesome to have just a little bit of his time. And I might see him as a larger than life figure from my perspective, because I'm looking at someone that I just respect deeply. So that was cool. Lastly, there was a reason I was at Sweetwater, and it was to pick something up. And I can't wait to drop a video. I'm actually going to tell you what it was. I know that many of you are all about this gear acquisition syndrome, but more so tone acquisition syndrome. And there has been a unique drop in recent weeks around Christian Kohler's Karnivore speaker by Eminence. And when I found out by happenstance that Sweetwater had them, that's what prompted this whole trip. And so what an amazing opportunity to actually get my hands on a Karnivore speaker. I'm not going to have to wait. I have one here, and we're going to have a video coming out about that speaker. For those of you who don't know Christian Kohler, you got to go check him out. He's an absolute beast when it comes to tone and production and studio work, and he's definitely that in the high gain realm of things. So if you're not interested in that, that's probably not for you. But he's a huge Vintage 30 fan, and I can't remember. I think his cab. I have a behind me. There's a Mesa Boogie. It's a slant straight and it's a 2003, and I think his speakers are from 2002. But it's cool to watch him have gone down the rabbit hole, Nolly get good, and if you don't know who Nolly is, please do some research on him. I'm not going to unpack that here because, again, Nolly's another one of those heroes that is just a phenomenal producer, bassist, just engineer. He's amazing. And so what got me hooked on the Vintage 30 and down that rabbit hole for Tone Acquisition Syndrome was a video that the two of them dropped. It's been several years now around Vintage 30 myths. And I've been down the rabbit hole, and I own a slew of Vintage 30s. And so the fact that Christian, I see him as like the pinnacle of that tonal plane where he knows what a good speaker would sound like. I mean, obviously he's getting great tones with all kinds of speakers, and he's never been shy to not test any speaker. And I love that about him. And that's where that curiosity, being curious and experimenting comes in. And he has done it to the highest level with lots. I mean, there's tons of content. So if you've not checked out Kohler Audio Call, please go do that. It's worth, if you're interested in cabinet tone and studio work, he's the man. Check it out. But anyhow, I ended up picking up his speaker. I don't think there's been more fanfare for the release and in anticipation for a release. And Glenn Fricker also released a video with the Karnivore, and there are several others. I think Ola England also released a video. And so it's fun to be able to, and by the way, they are not sponsoring me, not even close. We are, 34 subscribers today in. I can't wait to report back to you when it's 3,000 or 30,000 or 300,000, and hopefully we can stay the course, but I can't do it without you. So, but this isn't about me. This is about the Karnivore, and I can't wait to get that thing on here. I'm a huge Vintage 30 fan. I'm a huge Rectifier fan, and I chuckle because all I can hear Glenn is chirping in my ear saying, hey, be different. But the thing is that for me, these amplifiers were the things that I wanted. I mean, who didn't want in the late 90s and early 2000s, diamond plate and loud and melt your face? And that was the dual rectifier. And so it was a great time. I'm going to land the plane because it's getting longer than it should, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to share my thoughts, and what a wonderful event. Sweetwater, you're amazing. Again, they are not sponsoring this. I just love the company. It's based in Indiana. I live in Indiana. So this is one of those things where you couldn't help but be inspired. And while I didn't make any other purchases while I was there, there's so much to talk about. And when we talk about a shed list, which is about all the feeds, boy, it was a gear feed on steroids, and it was cool to be able to see most of it in person. So if you're ever wanting to have that experience and try a couple things and see some things that are cutting edge that are coming out and get inspired, maybe it's even to just try something. That would be, I would fully recommend attending the event. So I'm going to leave you guys all with this. I hope your weekend's going amazing. It's Saturday. I'm getting this video here shortly, so I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the passive content. More so a check-in. We will shed talk a little bit tomorrow. I might unpack some of this, but I got some other things to talk about, specifically this Karnivore that's in the box behind me. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I just wanted to check in and tell you about this unique experience. I didn't expect this to happen. And you know what? It goes back to what we've said since Jump Street. The only rule to this game is there are none. And I was curious. And I fully encourage all of you to do the same. And if you are able, maybe it's something that's happening locally. Maybe it's a swap meet. You know, tell me about the great things that you're experiencing. What are some awesome events that you've attended that you've walked away going, man, I'm more inspired than anything? I mean, how couldn't you be inspired by standing next to one of the premier amp builders that's standing right in front of you against his amplifiers going, boy, how did you get there? How do you do it? Those are the thoughts that were going through my head. And I'm just like, I'm not a designer. Let's not get it twisted. I can service a little bit, but he is truly a designer. He's an engineer, and it's just fascinating. Anyway, what an amazing event. I hope you guys again are having a wonderful weekend, and that this brought you a little bit of joy to your Saturday, and I will see you all tomorrow. So with all of that been said, take care everybody. We'll see you on the next one.